Looking to make the rest of your life the best part of your life? Every week, the Words for Life podcast has principles and testimonies that will help us become a little better than we were yesterday. This will positively impact your life. Welcome to another Words for Life discussion. I'm your host, Terrence Farrell, aka T. Farrell, and I want to give you a quick update from Be More Today. Our latest project, the BMT Cardio Mix, just dropped Friday. It's a project of 15 upbeat instrumental tracks that are perfect for a good cardio workout. We actually produced it so that each track runs right into the next for about an hour of continuous music. So you can check it out. It's available wherever you listen to music. Now, this week, our special guest is Beverly Burton. She's a singer, songwriter, piano teacher, author. She loves people, loves God. Now, I've worked with her in the studio on numerous occasions. As a matter of fact, fun fact, one of the first songs I've ever produced, I produced the track she wrote to it. I think it was called Choices. Dope song. I gotta find that. I gotta look in the archives. Anyway, I digress. In our discussion, we talk about the power of taking 10 steps backwards. Also talk about avoiding the time-stealing aspects of social media and learning from the lessons of others. There's also so many other wisdom nuggets in this episode. But without further ado, help me welcome Beverly Song Burton. Beverly, how you doing?
I'm good. Good to be on Words for Life.
That's cool. I'm glad you took the time out. I know you're doing a whole lot of things. You run a school, right? Mm-hmm. Music school. You sing all over the place, and I always see your posts too. So you're doing some basketball stuff. What's up with that?
Basketball is my thing. You know, I've always enjoyed it. Never really took it seriously, but I think that in this season of my life, it's all about just becoming my best self in every area. So now I get to go to the basketball court every day and just to improve on little things. You know, my friends will come with me sometimes and just be like, okay, shoot it this way. And then this is how you just step back and then shoot. And I'm really interested in that. So I kind of get into it and I find it as a way to just get some me time going on a daily basis, get some exercise in, and then just sharpen a skill set that, you know, just makes me feel happy. So I like basketball. Maybe in my next life, I will be in the WNBA. But for right now, it's just something I enjoy doing. It's my thing.
All right, cool. Yeah, I saw a couple of posts on Instagram, and I'm like, let me find out Bev got some skills here. Baskets were going in. It was just like, yeah. So now, along that same lines, what's one of the principles that you like to follow that kind of governs allows you to live the way you want to live?
One of the principles that I like to follow, that kind of like keeps me in check and keeps me from getting jaded by just life in general, is the principle that it's okay to take 10 steps back if you have to recreate or improve or to just do your foundation all the way over. Go ahead and take those 10 steps back, because it beats pushing forward in the wrong manner or getting to your destination in a broken space versus taking your 10 steps back that you need to and accelerating the process, which would probably take you half as long, because that's just how the design law works. You know, where it's just like, if you set it up properly, then it will flow correctly. So that's one thing that I govern myself by.
Okay. That's very interesting. And also I feel very helpful. A lot of people, you know, they'll take 2 steps back and then move forward. And it's all about moving forward. But nobody ever thinks to like, hey, if I got to restart, like if I got to go 10 steps back, restart to do this thing right, it's looked at as a negative thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been there before when I have looked at it. That's why, you know, I would continue to pursue or to keep pushing forward something that is not designed to work, because there's so many impositions on it. So as I just said, you know what, Beverly, try this. can't hurt. You know, you've been pushing forward and not being where you want. Try something different. And I took those 10 steps back, and I continue to take 10 steps back if I have to. But I see how, you know, the Bible says that God will redeem the time. So you will actually end up getting to where you want to faster if you start over. It's okay.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Now, I wanna ask you another question, because I see you on social media a lot, and I sometimes I make fun of you. I'm like, oh, Bev's posting again, or she's taking another picture. But
the shade, but the shade. I got you.
No, but here's the deal. It's pertinent to somebody that wants to get out there, especially somebody doing music or somebody in the public eye. And I wanted to ask, just as a benefit for me and probably a whole bunch of other people watching, how do you stay from getting hooked on just the posts that are out there? Because I know sometimes I get to post and it's like, oh, I'm going to post that Bev was in the studio. And I get on, it's like, oh, I didn't know so-and-so had a birthday. Oh, I didn't know it was this person's anniversary. And then an hour later, I'm like, yo, I didn't even post what I was supposed to post. I lost an hour. How do you navigate around getting just sucked into that whole black hole?
Wow, that's a great question. How I've learned to, because I think that there's always a starting point where we're all just like scrolling, you know, all day long. But I think organizing yourself, right? That's number one in every aspect. Like, you can't just say, oh, I'm organized when I'm on my 9 to 5 and that's it. Like, learning to organize myself completely has been very transformative. And as I have learned to organize myself, then I realized that I need to give time to the things that are important and give less time to the things that are not. So I would find myself in this season spending more time on the basketball court because it transforms me in the smallest ways versus being on social media scrolling. So I give myself those limits where you don't ignore one, and you know, like, you have to see life as a whole. So there are times when I might spend more time on social media because I'm not really doing much, you know, but then there are times when I need to just zone in and focus on Beverly Burton School of Music because the recitals are coming up, or getting in the studio, or just different things that you learn to just begin to organize and juggle that. So yeah, I spend a little bit of time liking stuff and going through as much as I can.
Right.
But when I know that things, you know, need my attention in other areas, I'm off social media and I'm like, I'm good. I'm gonna post what I need to post. It's gonna hit whoever it needs to hit. And then I'm gonna like what hits me. I'm gonna go there. And then I put a cap on it. And I'm like, now to focus on the things that I need to focus on. So
nice. I like it. To switch gears a little bit, wanted to know if you could share what's one of your most memorable success stories?
All right. So one of my most memorable success stories is writing my book, becoming an author.
Nice.
Right. I feel like talent and gifts are something that we have a lot of. You know, God gives us a lot of gifts in a lot of areas. And if we're not organized, if we haven't learned to prioritize, then we find ourselves not finishing things that we start. So because I have a lot of gifts and talents, I tend to be like, okay, this one's not working out for me. Let me go over here, you know, and God was just showing me like, yo, you can't do that. You know, I'm here for you in all areas. You can do all things through Christ who gives you strength, but you need the strength through discipline, organization, prioritizing. So my book was one of my top, you know, and why it was is because that was the first time in my life that I decided to not care what anybody thought or to care about anybody's suggestion concerning my life. What do you think about, should I write a book? Should I not? Should I do this? It's an idea. I said, I'm not going to do that. And I took it upon myself to write this book, to self-publish it, to find a illustrator who lived in London. I mean, God worked that out. But that for me was great because, again, I'm all about foundation. So there's no accolade that anybody could give me that makes me feel accomplished. But when I begin to fix the things in my life, then the will that God already has planned for me, despite what anybody might open or close in my life, is able to come forth because he's depending on me to be confident enough to
Right,
know that
right,
the
right.
good work that he started in me, he'll finish it. So it was definitely Sam puts practice off again. I started it as a thought, and through the ups and downs of the project, and then realizing that there are ups and downs. Like sometimes we want things to run in a straight line, and when a down comes, we're just like, ooh, stop, and that's not what that means. It just might mean refocus, look in a different direction, but keep going. And yeah, so I think that Sam puts practice off again was my greatest accomplishment because I was able to take it from start all the way to finish it, all the way to Amazon, all the way to selling hundreds of copies of this book, all the way
Nice.
to having these books in schools and libraries. So I did it. I took it from start to finish on my own accord, on my own terms. And that was a great accomplishment for me.
Nice, nice, nice. And one of the things you said is when things don't work out, because I've suffered from that as well. Things don't work out. I'm moving forward, and it sounds like a good plan, and it just doesn't work. And you try one more thing, and it doesn't work again. It's just like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe I got to do something else. And so many times you fall into that trap, and it just takes maybe refocus, maybe allowing yourself to say, hey, I need to. It's going to take more time than I thought. You
Right.
know. Yeah, 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 yeah. Good, good. Nice wisdom nuggets there. Nice wisdom nuggets there.
It's the Lord.
So now let me switch gears again. What's one of the toughest things God's pulled you through?
Wow. My mindset. My mindset completely. I think that for me, when I was 12 years old, I do tell this story, but I lost my dad to cancer, did not know he was dying of cancer. We were told he had arthritis. So at 12, you're grown, like you're grown
Right,
enough
right,
to
yeah.
know and to deal. And I think I was always angry from that point because I felt like if I had enough information, I could have made a decision on my own in the way that I wanted to feel about this situation. And I think that from that point, my life was shaped because of that one experience, and yeah, you have other experiences that might require God to pull you through. But I think the greatest thing that God pulled me through was my mindset. And that's just a recent occurrence, where it's just like, do we believe in the principles that the Bible talks about, where he says, without faith, it is impossible to please God, but we're continuously doubting him. We're continuously questioning him. We look at the stories in the Bible. We look at Abraham when Abraham was given a promise and the things that Abraham did to kind of get off course. But then we modeled that same behavior instead of learning from that lesson. We look at the children of Israel who are leaving Egypt, the Egyptians behind them, the mountains to the side of them, the Red Sea in front of them, and God parts it. But still, yet, we're just like, God, look at my Egyptians, look at my mountains, and look at my Red Sea. And God's just like, but you got to, what about the trust that you have to have in me? So I think that the greatest, that greatest thing was my mindset, allowing myself to say, I trust you, God, period. Because either you're going to trust him or you're not. So no matter what I go through, it's going to be an overcoming moment. It's all going to work out for my good. It's, it's going to be okay. So I think that a lot of times we are always trying to jump over a hurdle, but our mindsets are in a bad place. So every time that same, they say it's just wearing a mask. It's the same situation, but just a different cast. Or whatever.
Right.
Every time a different situation comes up, we're just in a bad space, and God is like, yo, I'm trying to change your mindset about things, sis. Because you're going to go through things, but be of good courage because I've overcome the world. You choose to believe that or not. So I think that's the greatest thing that God has pulled me through was just standing in the way of myself, my mindset. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful to God for that.
That's good. And I always feel like God's always trying to, well, of course he is, take it up a notch. He's always building character, and it's just like, okay, I got this. I got this one. Yeah, I got faith. I know I trust you to finish a project. And then it's like, okay, boom. And it's like, whoa. Oh, I don't know about this. It's like he steps it up. But once you understand that he's just trying to make you build your character, make you better and better and better, you see it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna ask. My next question was gonna ask, when did God become real for you? Because I know you grew up in church, I grew up in church, you know, and you get into the routine of things, and it's not that you don't believe God, you believe, but there's a point where he gets real, where it's just like, you know what, for real, like I you got me. I'm a try, and I don't know if it was that same moment that you just explained.
I think I would just add to what you're saying is he just gets realer,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sometimes we have seasons where we continue to take God back to zero. Imagine being in a relationship where no matter what you did, there was no trust there. So it's like you didn't put in any work. Where it's just like everything you do to prove your consistency and prove your trustworthiness is just brought back to zero. That's what we do with God. So to add to what you're saying, it's just like he gets realer. So I'm learning, unlearning to learn more that trust in God is a building process. So I have to be okay with where I'm trusting him now. There was a scripture that says, God, I believe, but help my unbelief.
Yes.
So there'll always be a part of you that unbelieves or does not believe, you know? And if you didn't have that unbelief, then you wouldn't need faith to believe. You wouldn't need that evidence that would show you. And man, I don't even want to get too deep, but I was talking to one of my friends about the word presumption. We were reading something of presumption. And presumption, when I looked at the definition, it said that presumption is believing something with no evidence. And I realized, have I been calling my faith presumption, where I'm expecting to believe God with no evidence? But even in faith is the evidence. God provides evidence along the way. And I think that the church mentality is like, yo, just jump. And it's like, nah, did God provide any kind of evidence to say that he would?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when we are calling it faith, it's presumption because we're not even looking at the evidence that God provides for us on a daily basis. We're just like, okay, God said that I would, have 6 children at the age of 70. So I'm believing that. And it's just like, what evidence did, And the evidence doesn't have to be as big as, it could be as small as just remembering what God did for you before. And based on that, you're making the decision to believe him now. But God always provides evidence. So, yeah, I think that we get to know God just a little bit more every day. You said it. We go levels. There's levels. A baby, he starts off on the ground, like on his back. The next thing he's sitting up. The next thing he's on his stomach. The next thing he's crawling. The next thing he's holding on to something. And then he's standing. And then so there's levels. There's levels to that thing.
Yeah.
You get to know him more.
No, that's real. And I like what you said, because sometimes we are presumptuous and sometimes we feel like what we read we're supposed to be. So I'm supposed to just claim it. Like, I'm the head, not the tail. And, it's like, did God call you to do that? Like, I'm going to be a Grammy winning producer because, it's like, did he call you to the Grammys, or did he call you to produce, this 60-year-old lady and make her project dope? And it's something
change your life.
Yeah, exactly. In the process.
In the process.
So it's absolutely true what you're saying. Absolutely true. I mean, that's rich, man. It's real good. Real good. Because if you don't continue to go levels and I've once heard a person say, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Right.
There is no, I've hit and I'm good. You're either growing or you're dying.
Right.
Yeah.
And see, if you were intentionally trying to get to Canada, but you looked at the sign and it said, "Welcome to Maryland," would you keep driving, or would you say, you know what, I got to turn around and drive 4 states back?
Yeah.
From where I came from. So it's like going back to taking 10 steps back. By design, it's what you have to do. It's not about what you feel like doing. Right. You think I feel like taking 10 steps back? No, T. I've already drove to Maryland, and you're gonna tell me I'm heading in the wrong direction. It's what I have to do. So it's embracing, just knowing that all things work together for the good. I'm gonna get where God promised that I would get to. Abraham got there.
He did. But nobody wants to take that Abraham track. Nobody wants to wait, till you're 90 to get the promise.
Right, but I believe that Abraham did a lot in his journey.
He did.
He was in Maryland a lot when he was supposed to be in Canada. It was like, yo, dude, why are you there? But it's about learning from someone else's experiences without having to get to it, which is why I'm so passionate about my music and my ministry. The faith ministry. It only takes a little faith. That was like one of my first records. You know what I'm saying? I'm passionate about the God love thing, where it's just like, yo, love God, love yourself, and out of that, then we pour. And do I always live by it? I was telling my friend the other day, I'm like, yo, I feel like a fraud some days, because God be like, sis, I'm giving you music to live by, and you're not doing it. Get your life. But those are the things that I like to share, because if I went through something that set me back a little bit, I want to look at the younger generation and be like, yo, you don't got to go through that. Like,
right.
just here. Here's my mistakes for your good. Like.
Right. No, that's the way it should be. It should. No, so now let's talk about these things that you're doing now. What's going on now with you and your ministries, and what's next for you?
Okay, so let's talk about it. Definitely in a place where I am flowing, and it's out of a reframing place to be like, negative things are going to happen. How can I use my negative things to use it as my fuel to flow, So where I am now is writing more songs,
nice,
writing more content, being willing to get out there. Here's the 10 steps back. I'm not really where I want to be with my music out there. So guess what? Beverly is starting from scratch a lot of times. Doing free gigs. It's cool because God still blesses it. I'm coming to the table humble because I'm just like, this is my 10 steps back. And it's cool because what God could do in this new season is just quicker than what was going on before,
Right.
Just what else am I doing? Writing for other people, doing more collaborations now. And it's not that I never wanted to, but I think it's about finding the people who are on that same path with you. So you're like, oh, can you collaborate with me? Do you want to collaborate with me? Stuff like that. And it's just like, yo, this ain't your tribe, sis. Yeah. Your tribe's over here. And until you are self-aware of who you are, the gifts that God has given you, what you bring to the table, you're going to be running into people who you got to be doing the most with, because you don't know yourself. So just in a season of collaborating, writing, getting into the studio more, recently released a hymn that was sitting in my computer for 2 years. And it's just such a blessing to the body of Christ. And it has been. And I'm just like, wow, God, like, how did that happen? Why? Because he's just like, you're sitting on a lot, because you don't know who I've called you to be. You were never aware of that. And until you fix the foundation, renewed your mind, then you could bring anything to the table. You could bring a pot of gold to the table. People will try to convince you that that's wood, and they'll take it right from you. So it's just like, yo, nah.
That's what's up. I'm so happy. I'm so proud. I feel like you're my little sister. Like,
right, because we critique, and anybody knows me, you know me. When it comes to being in the studio, like, come on now. I will come into the studio, spend mad bread, walk out with nothing, and keep it moving.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, nah, I'm not feeling that. And it's like, well, what would you feel, sis? Like, okay.
Yeah. So let me ask this: what's the best way people can support or keep in contact with you, follow you?
The best way that people can support is keeping me and my ministry in prayer. If they want to financially support, because the studio is not cheap and the journey is not cheap.
Right.
But they can cash out BDSM, M as in money. No, I'm kidding. And they can also go to Spotify, put me on a playlist and just support the music by running it, running the music.
Right.
It's growing. So they can support me that way. Sharing my posts, that'd be a good start right there. And just really being in that position to kind of like help to propel the ministry forward if they so desire. They could also follow me on Instagram, Beverly Song Burton, Facebook, Beverly Song Burton. I'm so bad with social media. I really am. Like,
really?
I'm so bad. I would
You
tell
look
them my
like
Twitter account, but I have not been on Twitter in about 3 years. Okay.
But you look like you got that social media thing down. Like when I look, I'm like, man, I'm way behind
Terrence,
Beverly's up here.
how long does it take to just post a picture?
No, you know what? It's not the picture. It's the words behind. Like, yeah, was in the studio with. Okay, no, was in the lab with Beverly. No, in the lab with Song Burton, but nah. In along with songwriter Beverly Burton, and then I'm sitting there like, dang, I ain't get the post out yet because I'm trying to fix the words perfectly.
Got you. Yeah. I mean, I'm good at writing. You know, like writing is definitely one, because reading, I love that. So I'm good at putting stuff out. But it doesn't take me that long. So I feel like I don't really spend that much time on social media. Like that's less than 1% of my day. If I'm to be honest, I'm usually in a space where people cannot see me grinding, doing me. I'm at the beach. I'm reading a book. I'm in the park.
That's what's up.
That's me. I live off social media. So though people might be like, oh, you post a lot. Oh, sorry, my screen went out.
Okay.
Oopsie. Oh yeah, though people might be like, oh, sis, you post a lot or whatever. I'm just like, I be living my life.
No, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. If you told me, well, yeah, I got to put in 2-3 hours on social media, that's not healthy. I mean, let me not say it's not healthy. You might have a season, right?
Listen, if that's you, I support that. If you love it, I like it. Mm-hmm. But for me, I just don't have the time. Like, I'm teaching in the evenings. Mm-hmm. I'm doing administrative work for my business in the daytime. I'm working on writing. So there's just so much that I have to do. That
nice.
Seeing a picture of me on Facebook is just that. It's just a picture. Like, there's nothing. You can't get to know me on that deep on social media. So if people feel like they know me on social media, I'm like, nah, you don't know me. Anybody who spends time with me off of the social media sites knows what I'm about, knows where I am, knows that I could be in Pennsylvania eating a Philly cheesesteak, standing at the waterfront today, and social media will not even be a thing, So it's like
right.
Yeah.
Now that's cool. That's what's up. So Instagram, Facebook, all right. That's where people can, and I'll put the links in the description so they can just click.
And I'll send you my YouTube as well. It's a new YouTube channel. I haven't even started it yet, but it's called Positivity and Flow. Creating a platform for my music.
Okay.
It's different, but I love positivity. I love wisdom. I love things that are just going to make me better. And I feel like my music definitely reflects that.
Right.
So once we're able to talk all things perspectives, positivity, then everything else flows from that. Being an artist, a creative, a singer, songwriter, you're just like, wow, the negative things in life can easily shut down my ministry. Something bad happening today shut down my creativity, my writing, my writer's block all the way, so it's just like learning to live in that positivity so that as a creative, we can still continue to thrive. People who work 9 to 5s, it's like when you leave your office and clock out.
Right. Yeah.
We're always who we are. We're creatives and this is our job, so it's kind of like we always have to make sure that the space that we are in is a positive space, or looking at things from a positive lens so that we can always be creative as much as possible,
Right. No, that's what's up. Any final thoughts or words of advice you want to leave with listeners?
No, just live your life to the best of your ability, always seek to find the things that are going to make you better. Seek to be around people who could pour into you, seek to gain experiences and travel and just daily eating something different, like just experiencing something different that will give you a different perspective from the one that you already had. So open your mind a little bit. And the Holy Spirit will truly guide you into all truth about yourself. Because my journey might not work for everybody.
Right.
This is my journey. Everybody have caveats and nuances about their journey that is only specific to them. And sometimes we find ourselves trying to be like finding it. It's like, be yourself. the Holy Spirit will guide you. That's it.
Okay. I like it. You said no, I don't have anything to share, but you shared some nice stuff there.
Oh, you did. I did.
I want to thank you again. Thank you for taking the time out. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, checking out the Words for Life podcast. If you want to connect with Beverly, like I said, I'm going to leave the links in the description, so you can just click on that, go. If you haven't already done so, please like, subscribe, share the Words for Life podcast. We're always putting together content, positive content for you. Again, we hope that something we said here will inspire you to make the rest of your life the best part of your life. And with that, we're out.
You and I, out of all created organisms on planet Earth, we were created without a pre-programmed computer chip on how to survive. Which simply means when God created us, He created us without limitation. With no limits. However, the only thing that limits us is, number one, people we hear. Whoever speak into our life the most, whatever dominating, reoccurring themes that keep re-echoing through our minds. Association brings on assimilation. So whatever we hear the most, see the most, whoever speak the most into our life, by beholding, you become change. And so that's where your cap comes from. Who are you hanging around with? Who are you listening to? And who are your role models? You cannot rise any higher than what you dwell on most of the time. And so church is not enough to get you there. Church is a moment where you worship God out of the abundance of what He's deposited in you because of the experience that you're having with Him. And so sometimes worship for some is limited because they have not appreciated all that He's deposited in them because they're not living their full potential during the week. So worship is an outburst. In other words, worship is an expression of an appreciation of being grateful for what God has given you. See, worship is God's way of saying, I'm gonna allow you to approach me, but you'll never catch me. But in approaching me, something happens to you. See, so those who don't worship, what could have happened to them never happened to them. However, God's still gonna be God, and He's not insecure in that He needs your worship. Our worship is not for Him, it's for us. So when we miss worship, we're missing the opportunity to worship Him by way of going closer to Him. And once we come to know God, as it is our privilege to know Him, our life will be a life of continual obedience. As the heart panteth after the water brook, my soul pants after Thee, O God. And once you start thirsting and hungry for righteousness, something happens to your soul. Something takes place within your mind that the world can never, ever give you enough of.